All right. Good morning, everybody. Everyone who is tuned in live, please press play puzzle page on the YouTube screen. Welcome to the hashtag PhysEdSummit by hashtag ESPEchat. This is our second summit, and we are super excited and want to thank the PhysEdagogy team for their help and guidance through leading the way to this high-quality physical education professional development. My name is Stephanie, and we are talking about physical literacy today from theory to practice with Terri Drain. If you are joining us live today, please use our Tazo page so you can join the discussion. You can find the Tazo page at .weebly.com. Click on the ESPEchat Summit and then click on the 2016 schedule. You will find the links to each Tazo for each presenter on this page. Since we're using a lot of technology today for our sessions, things might go wrong. If you're experiencing any kind of technical difficulties at all, either use the Tazo to communicate and chat to let us know, or Twitter. If we have a major problem, we'll get the presenter back on as quickly as possible and post the links on the Tazo and the Twitter. If you have any questions during use the Tazo chat, that's what it's there for. We'd also love to see you posting on social media, and don't forget to use the hashtag as well as hashtag PhysEdSummit. So this is Terri Drain. I'm super excited to be with her this morning. She is an amazing teacher of the year, and she's going to be presenting to you from Pleasanton, California. And we're going to now. And good morning, Terri.
Hey, good morning. Thanks, Steph. Well, welcome. First of all, I want to thank you, Stephanie, for giving up your morning to be my moderator. And before starting, I'd also like to thank the ESPEchat Summit team for putting on today's summit and for all you do for the profession. Okay, so welcome. I am super excited to be making this presentation, physical literacy from theory to practice. And before starting, I just want to make this disclaimer that I am not a physical literacy expert, but from the moment I first started learning about physical literacy, I recognized it as a potential game changer for both our profession and our students. And for our profession, I think it is a game changer because it provides us a powerful vision from which to unify behind. I think it also provides sound rationale for why physical education should be an essential part of the school day, and also allows us to articulate our mission with greater clarity. For our students, I think it's a game changer because when we make physical literacy the focus of everything we do, we will have an impact on the quality of their lives. So like you, I am not an expert, but I have been listening and learning from the experts for the past few years. And along the way, thinking about how can I take what they're saying, this research, these thoughts, and so on, and apply it to my own practice. And how can I create the richest physical literacy experience possible for my students? So today I want to share with you what I've been doing and what my thoughts. So having said that, I'm just going to try and get the screen share going. So here we go. Stephanie, how's that looking? Right here, hang on, fire up the presentation.
Showing on my screen.
Got it? Good?
Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
So here we go. Hang on, I just want to back up a little bit. So this is me with my students in Pleasanton, California, and my email address and Twitter handle. And I welcome any and all comments and questions on the topic. So let's start with the definition of physical literacy, the one that Shape America is using. The ability to move with competence and confidence in a wide variety of activities in multiple environments that benefit the healthy development of the whole person. And if we unpack that, competence is intended to mean the level required to participate at the recreational level. Confidence is the ability, your ability in your confidence, your ability to move. And wide variety, not just one sport, but a whole variety of activities, such as I've listed here: dance, fitness activities, games, etc., and in multiple environments. So what we know about physical literacy is that it's a journey from our first breath to our last, and it's different for everyone. And it takes a community to develop a child's physical literacy. And physical education has an important role to play because we are in a position to provide every child with the foundational skills, knowledge, and values needed to begin their physical literacy journey. These foundational skills are key to lifelong participation in physical activity. And I love this graphic because it articulates it so well. So if you have the fundamental movement skills, say, to run, you will take part in these activities here, or you will at least be empowered to participate in these activities. And the same thing if you can throw, swim, etc. So it opens the door to a lifetime of physical activity, but on the flip side, if these fundamental movement skills are not in place, the door is closed. So this is why I think our job is so critical. We have the ability to provide the students with these skills and set them on the way for their physical literacy journey. However, we have some challenges. And one being that it's not just our imagination. Children are not playing the way they used to. In fact, I think it's safe to say the era of unstructured free play is over. Sad but true. Just check out these statistics. Children have 9 hours less of free time per week than they did 25 years ago. Spend an average of 10.4 waking hours each day motionless. 50% less time in unstructured outdoor activities than in the 70s. Now, unstructured free play was a primary avenue for students or children to develop their physical literacy and movement competencies, and that's gone, which I think even puts more pressure on us to provide our students with this important learning. And for some students, we've come to an era of pay to play. We are their only best hope for acquiring these fundamental movement skills. If they don't acquire them, it's lifelong implications. And they are set up for a life of exclusion from the organized and free play experience of the poors and a lifetime of inactivity. So I think, there's a great quote here, that it's not just our professional responsibility to provide our students with these fundamental skills, movements, and concepts. It is our moral responsibility. Okay, so how do we do this? How can we provide our students with this rich physical literacy experience that they need to get started on their physical literacy journey? Dean Creliers has provided this graphic which describes the components of a quality physical literacy experience. Competence, confidence, desire, motivation, which leads to participation, which increases competence and confidence, and you can see how it goes round and around. All right, and what's it going to look like in our program? So with all this in mind, let me start sharing what I'm doing with my own students. First of all, physical literacy is the focus of everything that I do. And I share this with the students. We call it the big goal. And the big goal, which we start talking about on the very first day of school, is to live a long, healthy, active, and happy life. And in order for this to happen, for us to live this long and healthy, active, happy life, there are skills and knowledge and concepts that need to be learned, which is why physical education is important. So in physical education, we learn how to move and take care of our bodies, and this will help us to achieve the big goal. Now, just as on a little side note here, this woman here, who's the world's oldest gymnast, her name's Joanna Quas, I think, and I've put a YouTube video on the Tazel about her performing this parallel bar routine. It will blow your mind and your students. These people here, I just thought, provided a great example of individuals who've achieved the big goal, and they are far along in their physical literacy journey, but providing a great example to our students that it's possible to be active for our entire lives. So physical literacy is the focus of everything that I do. Secondly, I think the learning environment is key. Establishing a positive learning environment is going to go a long way. And I think about some of the things we've heard from Dean Creliers, that fun and friendship are the main reasons for participating in physical activity. Children need a nurturing environment where they feel safe to take a risk and feel comfortable moving in front of others. Well, the kind of learning environment that will achieve all that, I believe, is a place where every child is included, treated with respect, has opportunities to experience success, is physically, emotionally safe, and has opportunities to build relationships. To me, that sounds like standard 4. And you can look to the standards to help us identify the skills that students need to create this positive learning environment. Specifically, I look at this 5th grade level outcome, engages in physical activity with responsible interpersonal behavior. So when we unpack that, they are engaging, again, in the content, interpersonal behavior, and identify these as the skills that they need to have to create this positive learning environment. And I would actually unpack it a little bit farther. I won't do the entire standard, but just to show you how I'd break down cooperation into these individual skills. So it's very specific learning pieces that I can address in lessons. I was wondering how to bring it to life, and I got this great idea from Andy Vasily on his blog. There's Andy. Is to address it through rights and responsibilities. So using the strategy I got from Andy, I start the year by telling students, first day of school, that in physical education, they have the right to learn, be safe, and have fun. But with these rights come responsibilities. And I asked the students to help me identify what those responsibilities are, which they've done here in the red. And you'll see that some of them are reflect the same ones that I identified in the unpacked standard. So this here, with the help of students, this unpacked rights and responsibilities, sets the stage for the learning in physical education, and I'm talking to 4th and 5th graders, for the first 4 weeks of school. And we'll focus on each one of these and make sure students understand what they are and what they need to do to demonstrate that they can successfully demonstrate they can provide do these skills. So I'm just going to run through some examples of some of these learning activities that we do, starting with partners and grouping, and this is addressing the areas of respecting others and including everyone. I think how we get partners is key, and I do use a variety of techniques. However, I put the responsibility on the students much of the time. So we learn how to ask someone to be our partner, the correct response, and then what to do once you already have a partner, which is to check and make sure everybody is taken care of. And I believe that this is important, that they have this responsibility, because I want them to have this ability in real life, which is on the playground or in the park. They can't always have me around to find them a partner. So we've got to make sure that they are pretty good at doing this themselves. Another activity that we use, because including everyone is one of our identified skills, is this activity called the Rule of One. And I'm going to show you a short video, but let me just set it up for you. Now, yes, it's 1 rope and 30 students, which is not ideal, I know. However, in this one particular case, I think it's appropriate that what we're going to do is the students are turning the rope, and the instructions are you're working together to set a class record for how many times someone can run through the rope without a skip. And they're counting and they're trying to set a record. So I'll just play this so you can see what it looks like. All right, so that's the Rule of One. And the teachable moments, you've actually saw the end of the lesson there, but the teachable moments are, once they get started, inevitably, they're going to get a few in a row and someone's going to make a mistake. And then there'll be the moans and the groans, which allows you to stop and talk about, hey, did you hear what you just did? Did that really help that person be successful? No, they realize, okay, well, let's be careful about what we say. And instead of moaning and groaning, how about we encourage someone who makes a mistake? And then we'll continue a little bit longer. And again, they'll find students that are not successful, stop, hey, what can we do to help people that are having a challenge? And they'll generate some ideas and so on, and eventually get to the point where they realize they have to help that person, probably by grabbing their hand and running through the rope. So in my school, by the way, I have probably 25 students with moderate to severe autism that are mainstreamed within the physical education program. And they have plenty of opportunities to help students that are struggling, not just the special needs ones, but even students in the class that can't do this. So it's, again, a great opportunity for them to practice identifying someone who can't do the skill and then stepping up and helping them. Okay, so establishing trust. We're doing, in this activity, blind jump rope, and there's 2 levels of challenge. And this one, Molly, the jumper, is already in the rope and they'll start to turn. And level 2 level of trust is she's going to run in blindfolded and jump. And she's got to be able to trust her turners to do their job and be trying their best to help her be successful. And people mover. And the student is trying to crawl down the tarp and the others are trying to hold them. And it is quite a challenge. And I think this provides a great opportunity to talk about how we need to be careful with our words and our actions. So we would do something like this T-chart to identify what trust in this example looks like and sounds like. Often in their excitement, you'll get comments made about the person's weight and how challenging they are to carry. And you've just got to say, like, again, think before you speak and always take care of people's feelings. So back to the Unpacked Standard. And I did show you how I broke down cooperation into smaller learning blocks. I just want to dig into this one a little bit deeper and show you how I use a standards-based approach to achieve this. So the learning activities, again, the criteria for success are shared with the students. In this case, Highway 101, they're moving across the room on their little spots, try not to fall off. They're working together and achieving these pieces of cooperation. So again, that's required for them to be successful. But these are pretty simple little activities where they have to share a few ideas and then try and come up with the best solution. In this one here, they're making the longest line. And lots and lots of potential for cooperative activities with tarps. And again, I have another video I'd like to show using Jigsaw, which is a great strategy for teaching cooperation. So our next activity is similar to what we did the last day when we were working together to create a tag game. Remember that one? We had each number went off to a different corner. You learned a piece of the tag game. You brought it back, you put it together, then you played this new tag game. Today's very similar. But what you're going to do is teach yourself a dance. The dance has 4 parts. Each one of you is responsible for one of the 4 parts. You're going to go to the corner. You're going to learn your part. And you're going to make sure everybody in the corner knows that part. It's super important that happens. Then you're going to come back and teach your part to your group and put it all together. Part 1 and part 2, part 3, part 4. The first way you're going to learn your part is by reading the instructions on the clipboards that I've put there already in the corner. I'll let you get started on that. Then I'm going to bring by the iPads and you can watch that part on the video and see what it should look like, just in case you haven't interpreted the clipboard correctly. So just to go over what you are doing, this is how you will know you're successful. You will learn your part. Help others learn their part. That's all while you're in the corner. Then you will teach your part to this group and put it all together. We'll see how that goes. Nod your heads if you know what to do. Go. Okay, so again, I just want to demonstrate that it's possible to teach these skills using a standards-based approach. Now, giving students ownership for the learning environment is key. So going back to the rights and responsibilities, I have the students award, give an award at the end of each class, and it's called the hand. And here's a poster that I have that identifies what they would give the hand for. And again, these are right off the rights and responsibilities. Respecting others, being a good sport, cooperating, so on. They don't know who's going to be selected to give the hand. I draw numbers randomly at the end of class, so they need to be ready. Every single one of them is to be watching throughout the lesson for someone they would pick should their number get selected, and then have good evidence to support their selection. And here's what it looks like when we do the hand in class. All right, so now I want you to think about today's class and think of someone who did a great job with one of our responsibilities. Could be cooperating or something else. Be ready in case I pull your number. I want you to have some great evidence for whoever you pick. So picking today is going to be number 10. Okay.
Julia.
Because?
She was listening hard, she knew all the steps, and she was trying to help out.
That sounds great. Yay, go give her a hand. All right, nice job. Okay, so what happens next is Julia, or the child that's selected, is going to fill out a Google form. And I got this idea from Adam Laveau on how to use Autocrat to send home email messages. So what the students do is they fill out this Google form with their name and their parents' email and what they were recognized for. And it will generate an email such as this that gets sent home to parents. So just so you can see the entire picture of how we've used the standards to create a positive learning environment, and students are given ownership for it. Okay, so next, I think another key feature of what I do that supports physical literacy is emphasizing the skill of learning to learn. And now this is based, again, on what the experts are telling us, is that students need to understand success and failure go hand in hand. That students need to see success as achieving through hard work and personal improvement, and get confidence in their ability to learn. So I dedicate a couple of lessons towards the specific skill of learning to learn in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, but it is embedded in every learning activity that we do. So it's not one and done, but the stage is set with this very specific learning activity, which I'll share with you right now. So I go over to the students, what is learning? Okay, and we come up with, well, learning is the process of acquiring a skill or knowledge. And I need to spend time to make sure that they understand that learning happens over time and as a result of practice. So if I describe it as something that's hardest at first, where you make lots of mistakes, but get better with practice, and then it becomes easy, I think they get a handle on what it means to learn. So then I'll ask them, what is something you've learned or learning to do? And they'll do a think, pair, share activity. And when I ask them to share out, I'll get examples like, well, I've learned how to do a back walkover, or play the trumpet, or tap dance. And the next question will be, great. Well, so what is something you want to learn how to do? And again, some great responses such as, well, I want to learn how to do a 360 turn on my scooter, or a bicycle kick when I'm playing soccer. So what I'm trying to do here is make it meaningful to the students, the process of learning. It's like, hey, it's not just for school, but it's for life. And what, if you're a good learner, you're going to be able to teach yourself so many cool things. So what do good learners do? And with this question, I'll send them off on a joggy-talkie. And here they are running around our schoolyard with a partner. And their task is to come up with some ideas for what good learners do. And then when they get back, to put them on a Post-it note. And then we're going to look at them as a class. So this is how the lesson is set up. I've done this, I do this in the lesson before, and compile all the responses from the students and come up with this, which is what they've helped me identify the skills of a good learner. So, always try your best, ask questions, celebrate success, follow cues, focus on what to do, and so on. So this sets the stage for the learning activity. And I begin that next lesson with the what, why, how. So what are we learning today? Today we're learning how to learn. Why are we learning it? Well, good learners can teach themselves how to do anything. How will we know we have learned? You will know you've learned today, or you'll know you're successful when you can list 4 or more strategies that good learners use. So the tool that I use to bring this to life is the foot bag or the hacky sack. And I'll do it a couple ways. With my 3rd grade, I'll use direct instruction, but 4th and 5th, they'll get this task sheet. So they're going to go through each of these tasks and check when they've completed. And the first is, what do good learners do? They have courage, because learning new things is scary. So this is a difficult skill. Their instruction, by the way, is to do 1 perfect kick, just 1. This is a difficult skill. Have you got the courage to try something hard? If yes, say, bring it on, Miss Drain. And they really do. So they check that off. Next, watch the video. What are the 3 cues? So here is a short little video I'll have for them. Here's how you kick a foot bag. First of all, you hold it at eye level. You're going to balance on 1 foot, turn this foot sideways, and bump it off the inside of your foot. Your goal is to do 1 perfect 1. So it's drop, bump, catch. 3 cue words: drop, bump, catch. Drop, bump, catch. When you can do 1, try 2. Drop, bump, bump, catch. Okay, so next what they're going to do is write down the 3 keywords: drop, bump, catch. Practice, because good learners practice. Say it, do it. This is drop, say, drop, bump, catch. We're getting them this is deliberate practice, getting them cognitively engaged in practicing the skill. Check when you can do that. Fail, frequent attempts in learning. You learn by making mistakes. Fail 10 times before proceeding to number 6. Visualize success. Without the hacky sack, close your eyes and picture yourself doing 1 excellent kick. Repeat 5 times. Compare your work to the success criteria. Okay, so I've got the BAM video display going. They are performing the skill in front of the iPad and then checking to see that they are performing those critical elements. Try your hardest. Are you trying your hardest? Remember, learning is hard work. We'll actually stop and talk about how sometimes we give up on ourselves. And that's when you see people doing other things than what they're supposed to. So I'll encourage them to persevere and keep trying, keep trying. Ask for help if stuck. If you're not being successful, ask someone to watch you perform the skill and check to see if you're dropping the hacky sack and using the inside of your foot. Those, I think, are the 2 most common errors with this skill. Set goals. Your goal is 1 perfect kick. Once you achieve this, your next goal is 2 perfect kicks, then 3 and 4, etc. Celebrate success. Each time you achieve your goal, yell, "I did it." Okay, well, there's a few more good learner skills than what is here, but this is definitely enough for a lesson. Here's just a little video showing what it actually looks like.
Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world. You took the midnight train going anywhere.
Okay, moving on to the meat of it all, which is developing skill competency. And some of what we're hearing from the experts. Motor skill competency is essential for participation in physical activity. Well, we saw that with that graphic earlier on in the presentation. Everyone needs to be challenged. And back to a reminder of our job, which is develop our students' fundamental movement skills and vocabulary. And that high quality instruction coupled with deliberate practice leads to physical literacy. Phew, all right. So our standards contain the content for what our students need to learn to be physical literate. Now, I think you gotta be realistic when you're selecting which standards to teach, that choices need to be made, and you need to take into account your instructional time. I see my students twice a week for 45 minutes, and if I subtract the time lost typically during the year for rainy days, assemblies, and all those other things, it comes to about 48 hours of instruction. And that's not a lot, as you know. So I need to make some choices as to what students need to know, as opposed to what's nice to know. What content from the standards is going to serve them best on their physical literacy journey? And that makes up the curriculum. So having done that, selected the need to know standards, I not only use the standards, but I also use a standards-based approach to instruction. And that is an approach that focuses on student learning. In those 48 hours I have my students, I have to make the most of that time. So just a quick review of how the standards help students learn is I unpack the standards. This is the process. And you may have seen it before if you've seen that video I've made, which is, by the way, on the TOESL, in case you want to look at it again. But you got to dig apart the standards to identify what students need to know and do. Determine evidence of learning. How will you know they've learned? Select your assessment tools, determine your instructional activities, then plan your learning sequence. And all this starts before you begin instructing with your students. Now, standards-based approach with the students looks like this. You share the success criteria with the students so they know what the expectations of learning are. Provide those high-quality practice opportunities and multiple opportunities for students to receive feedback about their progress towards the learning goal. Assessment is for learning. Okay. Now, beyond that, using physical literacy as the lens through which I make all my decisions, I want to teach for transfer, not just so they've achieved the standard, but so that the achieving of that standard is providing them with skills and concepts they can apply to other content. And I've got this quote from Wiggins and McTee, which just helps remind us that if students really understand, they can apply it or transfer their learning to new situations. Well, I'm going to show you what this looks like in my program, just focusing on the skill of striking with a paddle, with a shorthand implement. And I do stuff in 1st and 2nd grade, but I'm going to pick it up in 3rd grade. And to be honest, I'm using a mixture of California national standards. This 3rd grade standard is a California standard, strike the ball continuously upward. So is the 4th grade standard. But this 5th one, where they are hitting consecutively, is a national standard. So let's look at how this one is achieved. Strike a ball continuously upward using a paddle or racket. Well, you think this would be a pretty simple one to do. But if you're teaching for transfer, I think you can really dig into it. Spend some time on this standard. So when I unpack it, what are they doing? They're striking upward, and break it down into small pieces of what that looks like. That they need to hold the paddle flat, contact the ball at waist level, move their feet to keep close to the ball, and have eye level hits. Now, you might disagree with how I've unpacked that. That's fine. I'm just showing how I've just kind of chunked this out. Now, beyond that, I want them not only to know how to do the skill, but why each component is important. So they've got the hows and the whys. So they're going to be able to explain why they should hold the paddle flat and why they need to contact the ball at waist level, and so on. So lesson sequence begins. Today we're learning how to strike a ball continuously upwards. Why? Well, being able to strike upwards will help you prepare to rally with a partner. And how will we know we've learned? You'll be successful when you can strike a ball upwards 10 times with perfect technique. So my evidence of learning is both process and product. So I start off by sharing the criteria for success with my students, so they know what it looks like. And one of the first learning activities I call one perfect hit. So working in partners, their job is to present a flat paddle and return the drop ball to their partner's hand. So the criteria they're working on here is a flat paddle and eye level hits. It's possible to incorporate this skill into a tag game. And what you can't see behind this boy in the red is a game of tag going on. And when they get tagged, they come over to the side where their coach is going to help them practice the skill. Now, they don't have balls at this point, but they're demonstrating how to perform the skill with the flat paddle and holding it low and so on. And she's giving them feedback if she likes what she sees. And then they trade places and she goes into the tag game. So another practice opportunity they have is called the Yahoo game. And their challenge here is to get 10 hits in a row. And it starts this way. I have all the students in the room start on the baseline of the basketball court. And if their first job is to do 1 hit. And if they're successful, they take a step forward and attempt to do 2 hits in a row. And if they're successful, they take a step forward and do 3 hits in a row. Now, at any time they're not successful, they go back and they start again. But if they can keep on being successful, they go until they get 10. They get to scream out Yahoo, and they go back to the beginning and start again. Okay, so it's a lot of emphasis on product here of getting those 10 consecutive hits, but it's extremely motivating to them, and it certainly allows me at a glance to see the students who are struggling. Okay, so probably spent about 6 lessons on this particular standard, and towards the end, they're going to participate in this activity which solo taxonomy inspired. I think for solo taxonomy purists, you're going to go, hey, she didn't follow the rules here for solo taxonomy. This was my first attempt at it, by the way. It's solo taxonomy inspired, which I'll describe in a little bit more detail right now. This is how I'd set up the learning area. It's actually 7 zones. So cones here would divide these 7 little areas, and they're going to progress from 1 to 7. And just to go through each of the levels, at level 1, this is a confidence builder. I don't know anything. Great, proceed to zone 2. I know 1 thing about striking upwards, and the 1 thing they know is about the grip. So they can explain what grip means, explain the name of the grip used when striking upwards. They can demonstrate the correct grip. And who are they demonstrating this learning to? It's another student. Okay, so I've designated students to be the judges for each zone and given them a task of looking at 5 students and then passing that job on to someone else. But I found out if I did not give them some peer accountability, that they would zip through the 7 levels and be done immediately. So they have to prove that they can do it. And as you probably know, when you give this responsibility to students, they're pretty good at it, at being the judge. So anyways, level 2. Level 3, I know I can do a few things. I can work with a partner to do 5 perfect hits, and I can demonstrate the skill without the ball and say the cues at the same time. So all of this content in the activities in the solo taxonomy, none of it's new, not yet anyways. These are all activities that they need, that they know how to do, so I'm not having to spend time teaching how to do anything brand new. Level 4, I know I can do many things. I can strike the ball upwards 5 times in a row, and I can explain why the paddle is held at waist level, or why eye level hits are best, or why you need to move your feet. Now, by the way, just in case they don't remember this, at another place in the learning area, I've posted the answers. So if they can't answer, they run over and get the information and they come back and they try again. Now, at level 5, this is proficiency, and this is the one that I'm keeping my eye on because this will tell me if my students have achieved the standard or not. I can strike the ball upwards 10 times in a row with perfect technique. Now, level 6 and 7, that's where the fun starts. Level 6, I can apply the skill in new and different ways. So I can strike the ball upwards 25 times in a row with the paddle in my dominant hand and then non-dominant hand. And then I'm going to flip the paddle back and forth. And then I can think of a new way to strike the ball upwards and do it 10 times. And the new way might include using the edge of the paddle, for example. But it's up to them to figure it out. And level 7, this is transfer. I can transfer the skill to new activities. So I can strike a tennis ball upwards 25 times. I can strike a beach ball. I can strike the hacky sack. And I can describe 3 ways striking a volleyball hacky sack is the same as striking a ball with a paddle. So yeah, this is where they get to transfer their learning. And again, why I love the structure of solo taxonomy is it allows students to experience success at their level, to get feedback about the progress towards a learning goal. It's super engaging. It allows me at a glance to see where they are in their learning. And it's just a great, great tool. So I love solo taxonomy, and my goal is to use it as much as I can where appropriate. But moving on to 4th grade, I selected this standard because I think this is great transferable content that's going to allow them to be successful at striking other kinds of striking. So they're to identify the 4 phases: preparation, application of force, follow through, and recovery. And not just identify. So again, I'm going to go beyond how the standard is written, and so that they can explain why it's important to prepare for the hit and apply the force by stepping with their opposite foot and hitting the ball in front and following through across their body and recovering back to the ready position. Okay, so the hows and the whys. So a quick look at one of the learning activities we do for this, and I have the students working in a group of 3. So again, the learning activities are aligned to the standard and what I have decided are the evidence of learning. And in this case here, Alex, the boy in gray, is the ball machine, and he's going to drop the ball in front of Gus's front foot. Gus is already prepared with his paddle back, and he's going to step, contact the ball, and hit it to the fielder here, whose name is also Alex. So their job is to do 5 excellent hits, and then they rotate. 4th and 5th grade are actually working on these same 2 standards. I don't think it hurts the 4th graders to get a head start on this one, rallying consecutively. And they'll go through progression where they're working in partners. One partner will toss the ball, and the other will hit it back to them. So actually in this whiteboard activity, thank you, by the way, Joey Fight, for this great magnet idea. Task number 1 is to strike the ball 10 times, and that's a tossed ball. At task number 2, they're describing and demonstrating those 4 phases, and that's to me. So again, this is an assessment station. They're going to move on. Task number 3, the partner's going to force them to move to strike, and again, they need to do that 10 times. Task number 4, both have paddles in their hands. Can you hit 10 times consecutively? And that's achievement of the standard. And if they've done that, they're over here trying to set a rally record. They're magnets. This is student number 5 and student number 26. They're partners, and they write down what they get. And if they improve their score, this is a better example, they'll come in and change what they have to the higher number. So again, they all start over here. When they've achieved the first task, they put their magnet here. They achieve their second task, the magnet goes there, and so on. Each student has a magnet that corresponds to the PE number. And again, this helps me, it makes their learning visible. And I can look over here and see, whoa, who hasn't achieved task number 1 yet? This actually looks kind of interesting. I think it's probably pretty early in the lesson. We still got a number of students over here. So that's it. I just want to summarize. These are 3 ways that, strategies that I use, or characteristics or features of my instruction that I believe bring the theory of physical literacy to life in my practice. And I just want to go over what I've shared with you today. That we talked about making physical literacy the focus of everything you do, and making that completely clear with your students that that is the purpose of physical education and everything that they're learning. That creating a positive learning environment is key. That it's worthwhile to focus on the skills of how to be a good learner, so learning to learn. And then again, developing skill competency using the standards and a standards-based approach to instruction. So now I'm going to throw it open to you. One of the reasons I made this presentation is I really want to start the conversation going as to what it looks like when we put the theory of physical literacy into practice. We can certainly, I'm open to answer questions now and encourage you to put your thoughts on ESPEchat. So with that said, Stephanie, you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, so.
Thank you. I had a couple questions for you that I wanted to throw at you. The first one is, do you usually design a rubric for grading? Like, for example, when they're learning to hacky sack?
Yeah. Well, when I'm unpacking and determining the evidence of learning, then I've identified what they need to do to be successful. And for some particular skills, we have the levels of performance required to achieve competency. And hang on. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to stop sharing. So yeah, so often we'll have the levels of competency identified, especially for those need-to-know standards that in my district we've identified as the focus points of our curriculum. On the TOSL, and I don't know if I talked about the TOSL too much, is that entire solo taxonomy activity, and one of the starting points is identifying what each level is for them to achieve to move on to the next level. It's not for grading, it's more for identifying how you're going to structure the learning activity. Was that?
I've got two more. How many did you identify for your kid? That was a question I had.
We have 4 program goals.
Mm-hmm.
And the need to know, it depends on what the program goals are. So one of our program goals is by the end of 5th grade, students will have demonstrate understanding of health-related fitness concepts. So along the way, we've selected standards that at each grade that are appropriate to do that. So for 1st grade, and these are small standards about knowledge of the heart, the location of the heart, the size of the heart, the function of the heart. So actually in 1st grade, there's probably a handful of standards, maybe 5, that achieve that program goal at the 1st grade level. And in 2nd grade, whatever the equivalent standards are, I think it's about how the heart responds to physical activity. 3rd grade, they are identifying and locating the muscles and the components of fitness, and so on. So it's not a set number of standards, but it's what's manageable and the amount of instructional time that we have that will help us to achieve that program goal. So let's go. We have 3 other program goals. One is that they can participate effectively in a physical activity environment. So that's that social emotional piece that kind of went over at the beginning for the learning environment. Demonstrate competency in the overhand throw, and if there's time, striking. And number 4, demonstrate competency in participating in a small-sided invasion game. So with that is what we've decided as the most important content for our students that we can achieve in the small amount of time that we have.
Awesome, thank you. There was a lot of comments on solo and how awesome it is. And one person wanted to know where to find some resources on solo taxonomy.
Oh, well, I think they should join the probably the Voxer group on, I'm sure there is one on solo taxonomy, and just put it out there on Twitter. There's actually a book, and I have it here somewhere. Oh, here we go. Here we go. That you can get. I'm not getting money for marketing this book, but it's from Pam Hook and Nicola Richards, Everything You Need to Know About Solo Taxonomy. So you can get that too. But I think, when you're just learning, it's good just to share with people and find out what they're doing and see how you can apply it to your own situation.
Yeah, and Jorge had, do you have to remind students to record the results or level up on the rubric as they go through with their magnets and whatnot?
Do I record that?
Or do you have to remind students to? Oh
gosh, no, not at all. They are, the magnet activity strategy is so engaging. No, it's just a great idea that I can use. I use many times. I'm trying not to overuse it, but they're all about moving their magnets. The ones that, there might be like a couple, and if I'm seeing that someone's not moving along, I'll go and check in with them, see what's going on. But for the most part, it's not a problem.
Awesome. Kind of bigger question that I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on around how much control do you think we as physical educators have, and can we improve their skill level? Do we have the power to do that?
Yeah. Well, that's a big question. And I think we have some challenges with that small amount of time that we have. No, we can only do so much. And which is, first of all, why we've only picked 4 program goals and focus on such a low number of skills. But that's also why I'm doing the learning to learn. I want to empower them to learn on their own. And so hopefully when they, that might be the most important thing I think that they get out of physical education, is how to learn on their own so that they can go home and they can practice stuff and teach themselves how to learn, and again, do the practicing that we don't have time to do in class.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think, let's see, are there any other questions on here? Tazo that you see?
I'm looking at, no, I have not seen Jim DeLine's. I don't think I've seen Jim DeLine's level songs. I've seen Jim DeLine, but I might need to be reminded about that. So,
oh,
yeah.
I can help you. I'm done. I'm done.
Oh,
I'm done with level one. I think
I'm through. Yes. Thank you for reminding me that. I gotta start using that. That's awesome. I love Jim DeLine.
Those two, and what was so funny is I shared them with the kids, and then they started making up their own, and coming to me at like recess and being like, so those are fun. One question was, do you have to, and this is something that's come up for me, where I've had to have a kid go and move their magnet. Do you have students who will a little bit or lie about, when they're leveling up and whatnot?
Not too much, but if they do, I check in and like, okay, show me that you deserve to be here. And if they cannot, then okay, well, you need to adjust your magnet. So it does keep them pretty honest, but they do need to be accountable to another student or to me, because if you let them self-assess, they are, like I said, they that's when they zip through and all of a sudden everybody's at level 7. It's like, no, I don't think so. So there's a few.
Right. Well, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and all your comments and questions, and I want to give one last chance for any that are out there to go ahead and put them on the Tazzle now. A lot of thank you, Terri.
You're welcome. You are welcome, and please, anybody, if you want to follow up or have questions, you can email me or give me a shout out on Twitter. I like to keep the conversation going. To be honest, I'm not seeing a lot of presentations at conferences about bringing physical literacy to life. So let's figure this out together. And how best can we meet the needs of our students?
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Oh, and where did you get your magnets?
Amazon.com, and I bought the stickers at the same time, and so you get the stickers and you put them on the magnets. However, I have seen some that people have that are plastic and they're just using a felt pen to write right on the plastic magnets. So there might be better ones than that that you can use.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the hashtag PhysEdSummit ESPEchat from the hashtag ESPEchat. We will archive sessions for you on YouTube, and just search for ESPEchat, and we will post links on our website soon. This is my first time moderating, so I want to thank you, Terri, for this opportunity, and I really enjoyed listening to your presentation today, and thanks everyone for tuning in. And I hope you tune into the next presentations, because we have 3 more sessions today live for you to watch, and again, those will be archived. And just thank you and have a great day.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, everybody.
All right.
Okay, see you around.
Bye-bye.